Hi, it's Jane with the Compassion Project, and I am here today with Hannah Smart. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you, Jane. I'm so excited to be here.
I am honored that this girl has joined me. She is originally from Calgary, Alberta, and is incredibly talented. She's a highly trained triple threat performer. She graduated from Randolph College for the Performing Arts in 2016 in Toronto, where she's currently living. Hannah also trained with the Young Canadians of the Calgary Stampede, where she had many lead role opportunities, including their grandstand show and touring show in Disneyland. That must have been amazing. And her other credits include swing dance captain in the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Miss Potiphar and the ensemble in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I've seen that performance. Well, not the one with you in it, but I've seen it and I loved it. But recently, Hannah achieved her dream of singing and dancing on some of the biggest stages. She was part of the cast ensemble in the touring show We Will Rock You. From September 3rd to February 19th, she toured and lived out of the tour bus, traveling all over North America, including New York, LA, Texas, just to name a few. And it really was a dream come true for her. And then the pandemic hit. Woo. Anyway, I saw this beautiful girl on the news a few weeks ago. I reached out to her. I think it's really important for people to know what is happening with the live performing arts. I just didn't think about it. So welcome.
Thank you.
And yeah, so why don't we just start with hearing a bit of your story about how old you were or when you started to discover your love for singing and dancing and
Yeah, totally. I feel like my story is similar to a lot of other like singers and performers. I started like dancing and singing ever since I could move and talk pretty much. I have like cassette tapes of me making like demo recordings when I was like 7 of just like songs I learned in like school and stuff like that. So I've been like singing and dancing pretty much my entire life, performing like in front of crowds since I was 7.
oh wow.
I really loved artists like Britney Spears and like Christina Aguilera, and Shania Twain was like a huge inspiration of mine when I was a kid, and Cher as well was like top of my list. So I used to like watch videos of them and their concerts all the time on like VHS, and then I would just like copy what they were doing. It's kind of my training when I was super small, and then my parents put me into actual training, and then I kind of kept going from there.
Wow. So, and were you performing as a teenager on stages and
Yeah, so I did when I was like really young, I did a lot of anthems were kind of my niche, I guess. So I used to sing the national anthem at like hockey games and races and pretty much anything the anthem was needed for somewhere in Calgary, I'd be there singing it. And then I was in a lot of like theater productions as well, at least like 2 or 3 a year, and did shows like Annie, Oliver, all those like Wizard of Oz, like those classics. And then when I was a teenager in high school, that's when I decided to join the Young Canadians, just because their program is it's so like high up in Calgary's industry of
yeah.
performance, and they really like produce like amazing performers out of their company, and not just good performers but like really well-rounded people and hardworking people. So I thought it'd be good for me in high school, and it was like the best thing that I ever did for myself at that point.
Oh, that's so good to know. I'd never heard of it. The Young Canadians of the Calgary Stampede. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so from 2016, that's when you graduated from the college,
Yeah.
Randolph College. I mean, we're not talking only 3 years before you got this role with We Will Rock You.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel when you found out that you had gotten the role? Because I looked into it and it said that they had a full Canadian cast
Mm-hmm.
of 16 performers,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
There was 17 of us in the end, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so how did it feel when you actually got that part?
Well, funnily enough, I was at my serving job. I worked at a restaurant in Toronto, and I was on my break, and I was downstairs in our like back room and like checked my phone, and that's when I found out that I'd booked it, and like, oh, I like couldn't stop shaking, and I was so excited. Like called my dad immediately. I was like everyone I worked with. I was like, I booked it. Like I got it. Oh my gosh! And
Wow.
it really was a dream come true. Like the stars all kind of aligned for me with that show, and the amazing creative team that worked on the show. Funnily enough, some of them were actually people I'd worked with and some of my mentors from Young Canadians. So like our choreographer, for instance, Angela Benson, she's a big mentor in my life and is pretty much who taught me how to dance. And she was actually the choreographer for We Will Rock You. So it all kind of came full circle when
Wow.
I
So
got it.
when did you find out you got it? Because I know you started touring on September 3rd, 2019.
So May 1st of 2019.
So then you would have started all the training and all that.
Yeah, we started rehearsals at the end of July in 2019. So we rehearsed for about a month and then we're on the road.
Wow. So I'm just really curious to know. Your mom must have been so excited for you. I can't even imagine. Oh, your mom and dad. But touring, so you were in a tour bus the whole time?
Pretty much, yeah. So we sometimes would do 7 shows in 7 cities in 7 days. So we pretty much what our schedule would look like is we'd arrive at a city at like 9 o'clock in the morning. Our amazing crew would then spend the entire day setting up the entire show for us. Then we'd be called to do our sound check, that kind of stuff around 4, do the show. Everything would be packed up again by our awesome crew around like 2 a.m. is usually when they'd be done. Then the bus would take us immediately to our next city. And we just kind of would do that on rotation for days. And then,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, but honestly, I have so much respect for everyone behind the scenes on shows. Like they work so hard. And I think, especially with everything going on with COVID right now, like they are who really deserve like a good shout out because our show wouldn't happen without them. And yeah, so then we would be on our tour bus and then we'd get days off here and there and then we'd get to stay at hotels. And if we had like in New York, for instance, we had about 4 days in New York, I think. So we got to stay in a hotel for those 4 days, which was awesome.
What an amazing experience for a young woman. So how old would you have been then when you got that?
Was 25.
I just, what an incredible experience, honestly. And I've been looking into this girl and she's amazing. Maybe we can post something in the comments. People can hear your or see a bit of your performance because you're so okay. So it's really interesting to me. So you did this traveling, you're like living this dream and you're surrounded by all these people and you're in these auditoriums with crowds of people and the freedom of that, which we all know now, right? So you did all this touring and then you get back in February. So I think it was February 19th was your last show in Halifax, I think. And then when did you find out about the pandemic or what happened when you got back? You must have been like, for a bit or what?
So I decided to take a month off after tour just to kind of like get my bearings again. And so I decided to go home to my parents' house in Calgary. And I was planning on staying for about a month, 3 weeks. And I actually had an audition for kind of like my next kind of dream role. And I had to fly back to Toronto for it. And I booked all my flights, was ready to go back for this audition. And the next day I get an email from the team being like, hey, because of this COVID-19 thing, we have to cancel auditions. And I was like, what is happening? And then like the NBA and WNBA canceled their like games. And that's kind of when it all like hit.
So that would have been around the middle of March? March
15th, whatever that kind of day was. It was like a Wednesday or something and my life like imploded. So, yeah.
I can't imagine. So I never thought about, there's so many things that this pandemic has affected everything. And until I saw your interview on the TV, I thought I never thought about the live performing arts and theater and all those people and I just, and then I was watching something, one of the guys in charge of this We Will Rock You, or part of it, he said that it can cost, if I get this right, I was shocked. He said it can cost up to $1 billion to run a show like this, and you have to have almost full capacity to keep it going, because I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know who it was, but I've heard this quote as well, but I think it's something like 80%. Your theater has to be at least 80% for you to get at least like hit even or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't personally know like all the math exactly behind it, but I know that like live theater, a lot of it is done for the love of it. Like you're doing it because you love it. You're not doing it to be rich and famous. You're doing it because you love bringing people together and telling stories. And so, yeah, the industry's not, and we're doing everything we can, but it's definitely not as thriving as it once was.
No, and it's a loss for everyone. I mean, you don't think you realize how much you need that, the live theater, but you think about all the people involved. So you're in Calgary, you weren't allowed to you couldn't go to the audition. You must have been like, I think we all felt like that around middle of March. We're just like,
yeah,
no, the NHL, the NBA, there's something weird's happening, right?
Yeah.
But we also thought it would blow over quick, I think.
Oh yeah. The sorry to interrupt, but when I got that email, they were like, "Oh yeah, like it'll probably be in the next like couple weeks, and in the next month, like we'll probably start doing them again." And I was like, "Oh okay." I was like, "A couple weeks, I can do this." And now I'm like, "Okay, 7 months in, 6 months in, I don't even know where we are anymore."
So so you're at your mom's, staying at your mom and dad's for 6 months, did you say? And now you're back in Toronto?
Yeah, I decided to come back in September. My boyfriend, who I met on tour, we toured together. We had been apart doing long distance for 6 months through COVID, and so I made the decision to come back, and just this is kind of where I've like built my like adult life. And when theater comes back, Toronto is definitely the place that I want to be for that, just for like training purposes and things like that. So yeah, I had to make the decision, but I'm very happy that I decided to come back for right now.
Yeah. So, and then I saw that you are doing some voice lessons over Zoom, which is part of the adapting to the social distancing. And how's that going? That's with, her name is Lauren Rose Ireland, right?
Yeah, Lauren Ireland. She's awesome. She has a singing studio called SingSana, and it's based out of Calgary, Alberta. She also runs a company with Scott Henderson. They run a company called The Show, which is a performing art group in Calgary as well. So they are doing everything they can to keep that going as well. But both of them have been huge mentors in my life. And Scott was actually on tour with me through We Will Rock You. Yeah, Lauren's awesome. And we've been doing Zoom vocal lessons. And I personally feel like I'm still gaining the same amount of knowledge doing it that way. I think it's just a learning curve. You just kind of have to iron out the kinks and then you figure it all out.
Yeah. And how do you keep, like, I would think that being in the profession you're in, that you would want to stay involved, like with the dancing and everything. How do you stay involved with that? Do you do it on your own, just at home, or? Yeah,
so a lot of dance studios have put all their classes online. So you can still pay your membership and then you get to take them at home. At the beginning of the pandemic, I did a couple classes, but to be honest, after tour, I kind of needed to take some time for myself and figure out some other aspects of my life, because I think for a lot of us as artists, we've been doing it since we were small. And for me, like, Hannah Smart, the singer, is my identity. Like, that's how I see myself. So to all of a sudden have that taken away from me, I really needed to take that 6 months to figure out who I was without who I am as a person, what I have to offer to this world without singing and dancing. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That is huge, because, and that is a lot of what this pandemic has happened to a lot of people, to have to go inward to really look at yourself. And yeah, that's not easy when that's your passion, because that is really part of who you are, right?
Yeah, well, it's like I've been training for 20 years to do this career. And it kind of, for me, and I know a lot of people have kind of felt like I'd finally kind of broken in and was
Yeah,
starting to make a name for myself. And then the pandemic hit. And I mean, it's nobody's like fault. We're all in the same boat. Like I'm in the
right.
same boat as the biggest Broadway stars out there. So
I know.
it's
So
good.
what do you think, like what is there anything happening that you know that of any um shows coming up that they're planning for or training for, or is everyone just kind of
I
waiting?
I think I'm pretty sure Mirvish here in Toronto, they have an interactive show that is going up. I haven't done a ton of research on it, but it seems like they've found a way to do like an interactive, like social distanced show. So I'm really interested to see what that's going to be like. And I know in the West End, they've done a couple like drive-in type like outdoor events and like
Oh,
theater in like outdoor venues. And a lot of people have done like Zoom shows. Like I've tuned into some of my friends doing like cabarets and yeah, so for like theater industry, I've seen a lot of that kind of stuff happen. And now I've seen I don't know if you know Niall Horan, he was originally in One Direction. He just posted that he's doing a live concert that you have to buy tickets for, and all the funds are going to support his crew that can't tour
oh,
now with him, which is
I
amazing.
might have seen that on your Facebook page, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, you know what? People have to get really creative right now in and on how to make a difference and make a living and yeah.
I mean,
So,
definitely the industry to do it if it comes to being creative.
oh my goodness. So, and if you had to get a job in a different industry for now?
Yeah, so I actually currently just got hired to work with Lululemon. So I'm doing a work from home position with them, and I am so excited and like happy to be with Lululemon. I originally, when I was 19, I worked for their company in a store position, and I had taken 2 years off of high school because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Because I was like, I don't know if I want to go to school for singing. Like I've been training in it for so long. Maybe I should go to school for something else, that whole thing. And working for Lululemon, they're really like goal oriented, and they, even when they're in store like retail positions, they have you like set goals for yourself and write out like what your purpose is and what your vision for your life is going to be. And every time I did it, I just would be like, I want to be on Broadway, or I want to perform in a Mirvish show. And so I was like, okay, I know what I want to do. So let's take the action and do it. So I'm really happy to be back with them during this time because it allows me to kind of set some new goals for myself during such a uncertain time in the world.
Honestly, Hannah, that is amazing because
Thank you.
I've done quite a few of these interviews and I've done quite a few with some women, young women from Toronto. And I will say some of the most incredible young women started with Lululemon.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that company is amazing on how they um like teach you, I think, life skills and like the goal setting and are positive. There's like honestly, Lululemon's an amazing company.
Yeah. Oh, they're fantastic. I am so happy to be working for them. Like when we're doing all of our work from home stuff, we get breaks to like meditate and to work out, and like it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, honestly, you're amazing. You are definitely going to be back on the stage one day because you're so talented. I'm definitely going to post something with maybe even the voice lesson so they can hear you sing. People can check it out. So, what is your hope for the future?
For the future? Sorry, you froze a little bit. My hope for the
That's
future,
okay. Yeah.
for like me personally, like as a performer,
Yeah. Yeah.
my like big goal would to be in a Mirvish show. So my hope for the future is that I keep training as much as I can now during this time, now that I've kind of taken the time to heal some other aspects of my life, and I can get back into training and just keep putting myself out there, I think is really my hope for myself for the future.
Well, the world needs to see you because your voice is incredible and yeah, you're very, very talented. So, and just the last question is, what will you never take for granted again?
Oh my gosh. I never take for granted again. I think just like being with other people, like being in a rehearsal, being on stage. With tour, there definitely were days where things were a lot harder, and I just would want the show to be over with because I just was like, I'm so tired today. Like, I can't do this again. My body's like breaking down, yada, yada, yada. And I don't think I'll ever take that for granted again.
Yeah. I know. And I think of you having that 6 months with just being in the crowds and never even entering your mind that can be taken away, that feeling of comfort, just being in a crowd and feeling comfortable. And
oh yeah,
we're so aware, and it's, and I think taking just that, not being able to just freely hug people, and
Oh, yeah. During our show, actually, at the very end, we do Bohemian Rhapsody as kind of our encore, and we go into the audience and we're high-fiving the audience. And so we're doing that in like 74 different cities to thousands of different people. And like, I always think about it now of how, like, today I could never go and do that. Like, it's just such a different world we live in. And I know eventually one day we'll be able to get back to that. But I feel very fortunate that I got to experience that before this all happened.
Yeah. And it really is freedom, right?
Yeah.
It's the freedom to just to be and not worry about it. So, but we'll get through it. And I think you're incredible. I'm honored you joined me today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're going to put her website. She's got a new website in the comments so people can check it out, and a video of you singing or something. So anyway.
Yeah, on my website, there is a demo video of me and a bunch of different shows that I've done. So you can check that out on there as well.
Okay, yeah, I'll put that in there. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. And Hannah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.